Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Case, which is a podcast where global leaders from Harvard Business School's OPM program come in a personal capacity and they share the real decisions, failures, and mental models behind building enduring companies. My guest today is Ryan Walker. We were in OPM 67 together. I've spent 3 weeks with Ryan. Ryan, it's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's a privilege to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'm sure it'll be a continuation of the energy, the spirit, and the things we discussed on campus, in between classes, at lunch, at dinner, wherever we could build the relationship outside of class.
Ryan, do you just want to introduce yourself and share with us about who you are, what you do?
Yeah, my name is Ryan Walker. I'm the founder and CEO of Matrix MKTG, which is a full service marketing and advertising agency specializing in creative design, strategy, and experiential. Founded the business in 2019 in COVID. So that was a bit of a challenge starting an experiential business in a time where we had to gather responsibly. Been doing this business for 6 years now. It's going pretty well. My first company I started right out of college was a independent film company with my best friend and college roommate. Graduated on Saturday in May. Was doing my first production in July that same year. The desire to create ideas has always been a passion of mine and an interest point, that to be able to monetize it to where you can work with people, collaborate with people, bring ideas to life, make them real, and share them with the world is amazing to me to do. So whether it was film or like what you and I do in Ohio, like I do renovation and stuff in Ohio on properties on there, that's another extension of having an idea, working with a team, collaborating on that concept, bringing it to life. And then marketing, I do that as well. So that's really the core of what I enjoy doing the most, is having ideas, making them real to where we can all share them, but more importantly, working on it with the team. I enjoy the friction that comes with doing teamwork, as well as the joy that comes with doing teamwork.
How long did you run the business of creating independent movies?
I was doing that from 2000 to probably 2008, so maybe like 9 or 10 years. In that, while running that company with my co-founder Jesse Thomas, we did a program called the Black Summer Cafe, which we helped get independent films distributed through Walmart, Target, Best Buy when DVDs were still a thing. So that gives you a little date on the work I was doing. After that, I moved to New York from North Carolina, and then I produced 3 independent films using 35 millimeter film. So that was dating process there. So my first indie was 35 millimeter. Then from there, I jumped into marketing full fledged. So the content creation, film production led me into marketing. I was the agency in the middle of COVID. I had 20 years of experience working. The agency I was working for when I'm business, unfortunately, and then a client gave me an opportunity, and I didn't recognize it at first. And that's often what happens. What I've seen is you have to be prepared for the opportunity. And in the CPG space we're working in was a highly regulated space, so I knew the nuances of the business. And one of the things that they talked about in school was the adjacency of your company for expansion. So my thing wasn't an expansion of an adjacent business. The business opportunity came about because I had a skill set that was adjacent to the needs of the client. So my expertise in that specific category gave me an advantage when it came down to do the RFP, the work history, and understanding the nuances of the consumer. That gave me a good advantage when I started my own company with that client.
Are you comfortable sharing what opportunity the client was bringing to you, which you initially did not recognize?
Well, yeah, so initially the opportunity was, hey, the agency you worked for went out of business. We still have to do some unfinished work, would you mind coming in as a contractor or a consultant and completing that unfinished? When I did that work, they recognized that there wasn't a drop off in efficiency, budget, management, relationship, or communication. So that was the audition and the opportunity at that moment. Where I looked at it more so from the perspective of they want me to just finish the work, they'll pay me a little bit, and we'll call it a day. That's how I walked into it. But I do my best in everything I can. What happened was they saw my capabilities and my commitment to the work. From there, they were like, well, what if we included you in an RFP? If you had your own agency, would you be open to that?
Incredible.
And I said, of course, I would. I didn't have an agency. I hadn't thought about forming an agency at all, honestly. It had never crossed my mind before. But that opportunity did to continue doing the work I had been doing, serving this client, servicing this consumer group, making sure things were moving as I saw fit, aligned with where our goals, the client's goals, consumer impact was all aligned.
Did you have a team together when the client initially approached you?
No, I did not. I had contractors and vendors that I had been utilizing for years. I did not have employees. I did not have part-time employees. I had none of that. All I had was a concept, an idea, and a work ethic. And that pretty much drove me through the early phases of developing the business.
That's such a great situation to be in, where you have your customer ready, you have your first sale done, and then you have to worry about the business model and putting a team together.
Yeah, that's true. Normally, and it's now that we are actually pitching for new business, acquiring new business, it helped. Having that foundational anchor client helped a lot, and helped not necessarily financially, but it helped give me and the team the runway to be able to sharpen our skill set, understand what it's like to be an agency as full service, and also understand the commitment it takes to the work. That's often underestimated in the agency business. There's a level of commitment and time it takes to the work.
Ryan, growing up in Dayton, Ohio, what early experiences shaped your ambition or your worldview?
So growing up early in Dayton, Ohio, there were several things that shaped my world. Most importantly, I would say it was the nuclear family first. My mom, my dad, my siblings. Secondly, I would say was their intentionality of exposure, whether that was family vacations, education, different schools. It was also their decisions they made as my mom was generally a 9-to-5 worker. My dad was an entrepreneur. So being exposed to that normalized different thinking and behavior patterns. I would also say coming from that small environment gives you a different level of confidence to where you can go out and do it anywhere you go. Because you have a true base of people who want to see you win, who want to see you succeed. So that gives you the confidence to fail. And that's one thing that I would say that my dad did extremely well was he gave me the confidence to make a mistake with the context that that mistake is not the end of the world. Like you will get another chance if you stay at it. I also started working early. My dad owned a car wash. My brothers and I would be in there washing cars. My first job, I was making 25 cents a car, maybe, washing wheels and vacuuming out cars. 25 cents is not that much money, obviously so, but it wasn't really about the money. It was about the commitment to go to work every day after school, every Saturday, the time you put in, and then it gave you a sense of ownership of where you do a thing to excellence. You have ownership in your work product, but also it's a family business. So you have ownership and pride in creating something or working for something that is your own. My parents would also take us on family trips, vacations. So we went to the Bahamas, Myrtle Beach, early things like that to get us outside of a community. Because we grew up, although my family was a working class family, we still lived in communities to where violence was prevalent, drug use was prevalent, alcohol use was prevalent. So it was still a very much urban environment. So they wanted to make sure we got exposed to things outside of our community to stretch our imagination. And those are the two key things that really were beneficial to me coming up in Dayton, Ohio, is I had parents who believed in us, siblings who believed in us. They created opportunities to stretch our imagination and help us understand that if you can see something, you can achieve something as well.
How has your leadership style evolved over the last 2 decades?
Well, I think I'm just really getting into it now because in my first company, I didn't have employees. Although you think you're a leader, it's different. You know, it's different when you actually, just speaking in this company alone, what's in the last 5, I would say that in the last 5, been going from 1 employee to now 27 employees, I've experienced every emotion I think I didn't even think I was capable of going through. And the key thing that has helped me the most, I would say, through that evolution is I'm process oriented, not necessarily outcome oriented. I believe people. I hire people who are smarter than me, so I trust their decision making. And I try my best to only engage in hard choices and hard decisions. That way they have the autonomy to be their own leaders in their own space and do their own creativity. As we grew, I recognized early on that I can't be involved in every single thing. So I had to bring on experts and people who I could trust in their skill set to do the stuff that I was trying to be engaged in.
At your company, how do you create an environment where imagination, creativity can flourish?
That's an ever evolving question and answer,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when it was 3 of us, it was easy. Now there's 25 of us because it's hard to hear everybody's voice. But the company is still small enough to where everybody's voice can still have significant impact. So what we try to do is we implement team meetings where everybody gets to speak, say what they want to say, and engage in different aspects of the business and client work. We also do individual one-on-one group meetings with the various teams to discuss all the aspects of every product, of every project. And then I try to create a little bit of work-life balance through a hybrid in-office reporting schedule to where you still have time to enjoy life and think of desires and wants that create a whole life.
What trends or shifts in culture are most influencing brand strategy today?
I would say the most impactful part of brand strategy is consumer behavior. Brands taking themselves out the conversation, putting the consumer at the center of the conversation and asking, how does my product enhance the life of another person? And once you make that the focal point of your brand strategy, all the other things become tools to help you achieve that. Is how do I enhance and impact another person's life? What does my product do to move their life forward? As opposed to where I see brands kind of go wrong is they believe they're the center of the universe and everybody wants what I have, even though it may not benefit them.
You are also an active real estate investor. What drew you into investing in real estate?
As an active real estate investor, that is more so a legacy project for me because my father and mother both own multiple single family and multiple family homes in Dayton, Ohio. That's what I thought I was going to do after I stopped working in the agency. Continue and build on that legacy in my hometown. I've done that to a degree, but what I really like to do is, in that aspect, is I try to do more multifamily than single family, obviously. Additionally, I try to keep it affordable, quality housing, because that's where it all starts, right? If a person doesn't have a foundation where they feel safe, where they can sleep, safe, where they can think, safe, where they can just wash, put clothes, store stuff, create a life. You got to have housing first. That's a core component to just humanity. That's why I do it. I invest in long-term strategies for purchase and hold. I don't do flips.
What motivated you to apply to OPM at Harvard Business?
I recognized a deficiency in my own leadership. There was a gap in communication, vocabulary, network, and thinking that I would need to fill to get to where I wanted to go professionally. So I started seeking out programs that I believed would help me on that journey. I asked one of my close friends who went to HBS for their MBA program, and one of them mentioned the OPM program. And when specifically it was Shamika Lee, a good friend of mine from my New York days, who was a Harvard MBA. And we were talking about different programming. She directed me to the OPM program. I read up on the program and I applied almost immediately. And it's been extremely beneficial for me in thinking and how we implement things from the program.
Was there a case or a professor or any conversation at OPM that left a lasting impression on you?
Yes, it was several. DOS is the easy one that we can all point to. Then there was also the other, our last professor on our final class.
Ananth Raman?
Yes, I believe where he talked about essential components of your business. Although they're not tangible, you can't put them in the effort, you can't put them in a spreadsheet. But at a certain point, hope and love is all you're gonna have at your company. And if you remove the hope and you remove the love, how do you then keep moving forward and waking up every day? And that was really the beyond the casework, beyond the spreadsheets, beyond all the technical skills that we learned in crisis management, historical, business, impact, all of those valuable things. Why that set out to be the most is because it's the one thing that we leave out. And we hear so much that, oh, it's not personal, it's business. But as long as humans do business, business is personal. And you cannot remove the aspect of love or hope out of it. Because every entrepreneur started out with a desire to improve a situation for their loved ones or their self. If you love yourself, you start your company out of love and then the hope and the desire that it will be successful and come to fruition. We got to make sure that we really fight to protect that part of the business as much as we fight to protect the balance sheet.
Is there a book that has influenced your thinking?
The book that influenced my thinking the most professionally is probably The Richest Man in Babylon. And it's not necessarily because it was a business strategy book, but it changed my relationship with money or resources. Let's put it that way. It changed my thinking. It changed my relationship. And from there, it allowed me to have the foundation to build a company on. Because if you can't manage yourself, you can't manage anything else. You can look at where your resources go to then help you determine what decisions are most beneficial to the goals you want to achieve. Richest Man in Babylon was one. That was big for my personal development. For my business development, from a strategy standpoint, as a CEO, a book that helped me the most after that would be Think and Grow Rich, because it really talks about the imagination and how your thoughts are actual things as well. And you can create those thoughts in the real world. Those two books have carried me through business decisions over the years in ways that I never thought they would show up. The next book I will say would be the Hosea, which is a transliteration of a lot of the hieroglyphs that you see in Egypt, which are core principles of humanity and life that ground you in moral alignment with other people and other structures. I would say those three books holistically have forged a way of thinking for me that has been beneficial.
Ryan, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, wow. If I could give myself one piece of advice, my younger self, I would tell my younger self to fail as fast as you can. I would say fail as fast as you can, love as hard as you possibly can, and hold on to those relationships. There were times when, like, I'm not married, don't have any children, because I really focused so much on my business and building a company and creating professional ideas that I neglected some of the personal aspects of my life over the years. I would tell my younger self, focus on that too. Like, it's okay to go out on that Friday to enjoy some other aspects of your life. But I would say fail as fast as you possibly can. Know it's not the end of the world. And love as hard as you can while you can, for sure.
It's beautiful, Ryan. Lastly, is there anything you want listeners to take away from your story, especially the founders?
The founders, I would say, is it's harder than you think it's gonna fucking be. It's harder than you think it's gonna be. It is some of the biggest challenges you will ever face, but it's rewarding work. It's rewarding to know people believe in you, but you also have a responsibility and commitment to those people too, right? Because they believe in you, because they work for you, because everybody has a dream. And most people don't wake up where their dream is putting their shit aside to help you build and work on yours. That's what everybody does. When they come in here for these 40 hours a week, whatever their dream is, they're deferring it. And we have the responsibility as a founder to honor and respect that person for deferring their dream to help build ours. So we have to always treat people with dignity and respect and understand the exchange in this.
You are a very honorable guy yourself, a stand up gentleman. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. That's all I have here. But thank you again for being so transparent.